Hello everyone, I hope that you are well and keeping safe. This is the second part of a series looking at 25 exercises that every martial artist should know. So we've already covered arms, we've done exercises 1 to 5, but we've done some additional bonus ones, so make sure that you check that out, and I'll put that in the description below. This video is day 2, and we're going to focus this time on 5 more exercises that count towards our 25, but with those again going to be some additional ones. So these are all going to focus on core exercises, working at abs specifically. You'll notice that the first set of exercises we did were all focused around variations of a fundamental press up. We're going to look at some variations on a fundamental sit up in this video, but we're also going to look at some other ones. So as always, the intention of this video series is to give you a range of exercises, some that you'll know, some that you won't, but that hopefully everybody will have at least 2 or 3 new ones that they can incorporate into your workouts that you're doing at home during the COVID crisis. I hope you find this useful, and don't forget there will be part 3 and part 4 following this, where we'll look at specifically isometric holds and legs. So make sure that you check those out, and again, as soon as they're released, they'll be in the description below. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and without further ado, let's get into exercise number 1 for today. Exercise 1 is going to begin with a fundamental and basic sit-up, but we're going to start by talking about what makes this unique and special for martial arts practice. Mostly this is around the idea of not making a fatal mistake with sit-ups, where we put in unnecessary relaxation. Because we've already talked about the idea that it's necessary for us as martial artists to have key points of tension within the exercises that we do, and have isometric exercises. Now in the case of a sit-up, what often happens is you get something that goes like this. Most people quite often get into the habit of starting with their back flat, coming from this position, where at the moment the only tension in my core comes about as a result of the fact that my head is off the floor. If I was to start here, my abdominal region is completely relaxed at this point. So even just elevating the head does put some tension in there. But then what people often do is they'll do the sit-up and they'll go from here, and what you get is tension, relaxation. Tension, relaxation, as opposed to maintaining tension throughout the exercise. So what we're going to seek to do, and we can do this 2 basic ways, is to increase that period of tension and not to relax out of the sit-up as we go. So the first way that I can do that is with a basic sit-up. So my goal is as I start to keep my shoulders off the floor, and to actually not do a full sit-up, but to do it within about a 15-degree window. So we come up and then back. One way that you can make this easier is by elevating the legs and having them out straight. So the knees come in and you stretch back out, so that you stay in the state of tension as you do the sit-up. So as an example, we do 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another important thing about this is that we don't get into the habit of throwing our arms to generate momentum for us to make the exercise easier. Another good way, as a variant that you can do this, is instead of doing a fundamental sit-up, is do a fundamental crunch. So in this, the advice I would give you is first to make sure that your back is as flat as possible. So bring your feet in nice and close. Make sure that your hands initially are down by the side, your spine is straight, and that you've flattened your back to the floor. Now from here, the best way to do this is to bring your arms to the side of your head, and then what you're seeking to do is to pick a spot on the ceiling and don't take your eyes off it. So from here you're going to keep looking up, and you're just going to elevate the shoulders. So you come up and then back down, up and then back down. So keep the elbows out at the side of the body, pick the spot on the ceiling in front of you and maintain that. And what that will encourage you to do is to do your crunch exercise. Make sure that you maintain tension throughout it. But the disadvantage of that is you do get a period of relaxation when you lie back down. So one way that you can make that more difficult is to increase the period of the hold in the crunch. And I find that a really powerful exercise to really work my core, particularly at the end of an exercise. So if I've already done quite a lot of core or ab exercises, I like to put that in at the end, because it's a really good way of burning right at the end of the exercise. So our second exercise today is going to focus on the twisting sit-up. And again, there are lots of variants of this, so I'm going to demonstrate a few different variations you might want to consider, and I'm going to demonstrate these before we get into the details. 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10. The second variation that you might want to consider would look like this. So let's break down these two particular exercises. So the first one we looked at is going from a complete full sit-up, which does have the downside, as we talked about in the previous section, as having periods of relaxation in. But it's a good place to start, and what it does allow you to do is to work a big, broad range of movement. So what we do is we start with our feet flat and one hand flat on the floor. I'm bringing my other hand up like I'm saluting at the side of my head with my elbow out. The goal is I'm going to bring my elbow to my opposite knee. So I sit up. I'll show you different things you can do with this hand in a second, but I'm just going to sit up and I'm going to rotate at the top of the turn to get to this elbow position. Now this arm can be used to differentiate the exercise. So one thing I could do is take it away completely. Then I'm just doing pure sit up and rotate. And what that means is I don't gain any support or momentum. Another option is if I keep it flat, is I can keep my forearm flat and come up onto my elbow so that I can rotate. What that allows me to do is to bring my body weight slightly off center, so I can really torque and really activate particularly the very side of my abdomen. Again, I can differentiate this by moving my hand position. So I can come up and bring that round and back. Another way I can do this hand is keep it at the side, so I can come up and just keep it in an outward position and then back. There's an alternative to keeping it across the abs. And then obviously I can do that on the opposite side. So that's one version of a twisting sit-up that you might like to do. The second variation that I demonstrated gets around the issue of having a period of relaxation. So we start in a sit-up position with tension with our feet elevated, and the intention this time is that you're going to bring your opposite knee forward as you do the sit-up. So we start with our feet to here, we bring our feet up so that they're parallel to the floor, we start to sit back into a C-sit position, and then from here, as I bring my elbow forward, I bring my opposite knee in and then back. So I'm working my lower abs due to the action of my legs, and as I bring my arm in, I'm emphasising that turn and then back. So I maintain the tension throughout the entirety of the exercise. It's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult, and you have to work your balance, but again, that means that you are working and activating more of your core as you do that version. So exercise number 3 for today is butterfly kicks. Now there are lots of different versions of these again, so again I'm going to show you some different variants that you can do. Some that focus more on the isometric components, and some that focus more on the isotonic components. So, as a starting position for this, what we actually want to do is we want to start in an isometric hold. Now I love this exercise. I particularly enjoy doing this in lessons with students because they hate it, which is wonderful for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our feet just slightly elevated from the floor. So what I prefer to do with this exercise is I prefer to have my hands just underneath the base of my bum, and that's to provide support for my lower back. But you can have your hands flat to the floor, so I'll show you both. So hands flat to the floor first, and just keep the hands to here, and we're just going to have our toes pointed and then elevate up 6 inches off the floor. I prefer to take my hands, just place them right underneath the base of my bum, keep my elbows in so that my back stays completely flat, and then elevate, okay? And so we can just start by holding this position for a long period of time. But obviously, whilst that's fun to do, there's lots of additional actions that we can build in here. So a nice simple one that you might want to start with would just be sideways leg raises. So from here, you just want to come out and then back in. Okay, from here, keeping that 2 or 3 inches off the floor all the time. If you've got a partner, what you can do with this is do it so that your partner jumps inside the legs and outside the legs, so that you have to maintain a steady and constant pace. But when you're doing it slowly for yourself, what is nice to do as well is to complete all of these actions really very deliberately, slowly, and really work the different muscle groups as you go through. Then from there we can do the 45-degree leg raises. So we can come one and then back down. And so again, we're just trying to work within one specific region of tension. Some people prefer to go from 15 to about 40 degrees and keep the leg raise in that area. And that's particularly good if you're going to do the butterfly. So you can do your butterfly kicks at that angle between 15 and 40 degrees, or you can come down lower and go from just above the floor, just up into that region. Another version of this that you can do is that you can come up to 90, so you can bring the legs all the way up and then back down. If you've got a partner, you can have your partner push down to the floor and then come back. And again, to increase the difficulty of this, you can vary the pace up and down. So instead of coming at the same speed up and down, you change it. So as you come up fast and then down deliberately, slowly, letting the weight of your legs increase the difficulty as you come down slowly back to the floor and then to there and then back up. And then again, control the descent all the way back down. Of course, you can do that in reverse. You can come up really, really slowly, get to the top, then come back down, and then repeat. So just by doing a few simple butterfly kicks and variants, that exercise that keeps your core active for the entirety of the period that you're working, because you're always in that 6 inches above the floor position. Exercise number 4 is by far my favourite exercise for activating the side of my core. I love this exercise and I love all the variants of it, because for me, I always feel the tension that it generates most clearly, and I really like the feeling that I get from it. So for me, this is a personal favourite. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with variants of a plank, which is obviously a key isometric exercise. We've already looked at where we are on our back in a supine position and we've got our feet elevated. We should surely have the opposite, being in a pronated position where we're face down. So a plank is fundamentally that. Now obviously, let's just begin with some basic different variants of the plank, but we'll cover a lot more of these in the next video, where we focus exclusively on isometric holds. But to begin with, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a basic high plank where our arms are locked. So we come to this position like we are in a press up, and we make sure that the spine is straight. Now this is the easiest version of the plank that you've got, because your arms are locked. This is doesn't engage the core quite as much. Obviously a simple exercise you can do is then pass down to forearms flat to the floor in a low plank. This is far more popular, but obviously just the exercise of passing between those is a really good exercise to do, and I strongly recommend that you have a go at the bring Sally up, bring Sally down challenge doing that, because if that doesn't work your core, nothing will. But there's other versions that we can put in there. So the one I want to emphasise now is where we start to bring our leg in. So we're going through the action, bringing our knee to our elbow as we're in the 2 plank positions. I'm going to start in the high plank position because it's easier for you to see what's going on, and then I'll demonstrate the same action in the low plank position. So from here, we keep our head up. We're going to bring our knee round in a circle up to touch the elbow, and then bring out the foot back in the opposite direction. Then bring the left and then through. So each knee, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, kyu, ju. So that's our first version. As you bring your leg round, you get a really, really strong sense of contraction, particularly in the side of your abdomen, and that's where the muscle group that you're particularly targeting. And like I say, I really like this exercise. Then you can do the same thing in a low plank position, which increases the difficulty, and this is the one I really like. Because obviously you're low to the floor, you have to pull your knee up tighter because you haven't got the space, and that increases the activation that you get on the side of your abdomen. So again, from here, we make sure our spine starts completely straight, and then we start the elevation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then back. With that one, typically, I would normally look to do at least 30 of those in each position to get a really, really good result before moving on. Exercise number 5 is star leg touches. So this is a whole body exercise that you start from a supine position on your back, and you want to stretch out your arms and legs as wide as possible. Your goal is simply to touch as high a point up above your body as you can. So I'm going to demonstrate this first, and then we'll talk about some key points. So we begin in our supine position, okay, and you can have either your feet together or your feet apart. I prefer having my feet apart and then coming in. So I'm going to start in a start position here. So we get ready to go. We're going to do 10. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's just have a look at some points for this particular exercise. First of all, when you do this exercise, you want to try and make sure that you don't leave your shoulders flat on the floor. So for example, you want to try and avoid raising the legs and just lifting the arms. The intention is from here, is to contract the core and elevate your shoulders, so that I'm going to take my hands and come up. So all as one action, rather than just simply being here, we're going to come up. I'm going to lift the shoulders so that we reach forward with the arms. It's that action that tightens the core and brings your whole body in together as one. And that's really where the most benefit of the exercise comes from. If you keep down, then you're basically just doing a leg raise. I particularly enjoy this exercise because 1, it's quite difficult, and 2, it forces me to work on my balance and posture as I'm going through. So it's not just simply exercising my core, but it's helping me to improve my stability and my balance as I go. So that brings us to the end of day 2. I hope you found it useful, and don't forget, as always, if you've got any questions, please leave us a comment, leave us a like, and feel free to share this with anybody you know that is struggling to work out during that isolation. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch the video, and don't forget to check out the second, third and fourth part of this series that will follow in due course. The next video is going to look at isometric holds in particular and variations of those, and then the final video will look at leg exercises in particular that we can incorporate. I hope you found the series useful, and please stay safe. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.